It's time to meet Clifton.
With your host, Ray Grabowski.
Here's Ray.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Meet Clifton. Tonight we're going to have a really good show, a lot of good information. Oh, by the way, my co-host Suzanne C. is with us today. Thank you, Suzanne, for being here. We're going to have a good show, so sit down, relax, and we'll be right back.
Tonight's guests are PSE&G Public Affairs Manager Paul Drake, Clifton Fire Inspector Chris Foti, mortgage loan originator and real estate agent Ray Vega Cruz, featuring the music of Swingman and the Misfit Mutts. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Meet Clifton.
With me tonight, I have Mr. Paul Drake, the Public Affairs Manager of PSE&G. Thank you for coming on, Paul. I appreciate it. And just a little bit about yourself and the role that you play in PSE&G.
Sure. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, Ray. I'm the Regional Public Affairs Manager, and my role is to really work closely with municipalities across our service territory. I primarily work in Passaic County, so I cover all of Passaic County and also a few towns in Bergen County. But collectively, my role is to work closely with municipalities at many different levels, not only at the elected level, but with the county, with the administration level, and also with nonprofit organizations and groups that really need assistance and try to navigate PSE&G. And we are a big company, and sometimes people, try to find their way through PSE&G. I'm able to help them navigate those issues. But my role, like I said, my background at PSE&G is I've been with the company for 14 years. I worked in our licensing and permitting section for about 9 years, and I've been our regional public affairs manager for the last 5. And like I said, I've been working closely with the city of Clifton for that time frame, and I look forward to continuing to do so.
Okay, and we're going to discuss, I know PSE&G is electric and gas. A lot of people confuse that. Just want to explain a little bit that
Sure.
It's the same utility.
Sure, yeah, and what's interesting is Public Service Electric and Gas Company is our utility company, and we sell not only electric but also gas. But you may also see the acronym PSEG. That stands for Public Service Enterprise Group. That is our parent company, which we are part of, and the utility rests under PSEG as PSE&G. It's the same group of people. I mean, I work both at the utility level, but also work at the corporate level for the corporation. So it allows us to not only leverage the relationships we have with municipalities, but at the same time, PSEG has other aspects of the company that we can work with.
Before we put you in the hot seat,
Sure.
A lot of people don't understand that public service is gas and electric, and
Sure.
I'm sure it's a misunderstanding a lot of times. You might just a little something about that so that they understand.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we are a regulated public utility. The New Jersey Board of Public Utilities regulates PSE&G, and it stands for Public Service Electric and Gas Company. Very important that people recognize that we not only provide electric, but also to gas. And folks in Clifton, the city of Clifton, are our customers both on the gas side as well as the electric side. The Metropolitan Electric Division services Clifton, the city of Clifton, and their offices are actually located here in Clifton. And so anytime a line truck goes out from, to service a pole or to service a down pole or a street light, they're being dispatched out of Clifton. And so they're local. And also the Clifton Gas District also provides gas service. So when there's a call for service or a call for emergency or a gas smell, there's folks that are dispatched right out of the Clifton Gas District. So it's fortunate that they're here in your great city and can provide that service to you.
Okay, so now here's the
Sure.
most commonly asked questions for Clifton residents, and that's, we have a lot of streetlights in Clifton. Okay, we get a lot of calls. It's really not our purview to address this, but, so what can a customer do? They have a streetlight out. Of course, they're going to call the city, but
Sure.
they should really probably call public service to report
Oh,
that, right?
absolutely, absolutely. No, without question, people view streetlights as an important public safety element. When it's dark in areas and they don't feel safe, they wonder why aren't there streetlights. We work closely with the city on streetlights, but it's also important to understand that we maintain thousands of streetlights, if not tens of thousands of streetlights, not only across Clifton, but throughout our service territory. So we rely on residents as well as municipalities to let us know when streetlights are out. When a light is out, we don't always necessarily know, and we don't have people driving around at night looking for streetlights out. But we rely on residents and the city to say, hey, there's a streetlight out. Now, there's a couple ways that it can be reported. It can be reported online. It could be reported to our phone customer service. You can call 1-800-436-PSEG. That's 1-800-436-7784, PSEG.
We'll post that on.
Yeah,
on
and that's an important number. You call, you'll get a customer service person. You can say, hey, there's a streetlight out on Main and Fifth Avenue. It's pole number, 71483. What we'd like to know is not only the pole number, but also the street address. That helps us identify where that's located, and the texts that go out will have onboard computers and will identify the location, and they can go and replace or fix that street light. It's not, when you just give us the number, realize that there's tens of thousands of poles across our service territory. So just the pole number alone is harder to determine as opposed to if you had the street address and the pole number. We can then go out and fix that light. But also we're looking carefully at the infrastructure and the technology that's coming forward as we look ahead through integrated technology systems. And we're looking at how we can enable the communities to better report streetlights that are out. So there's technology on the horizon using GIS that will allow people to report the streetlights out a much more quick way. And that's, we're hoping in the few coming months that'll be something that will be rolling out. We're also looking at how technology has allowed the electrical system to improve with LED lighting. Right now, many of our streetlights are high pressure sodium or metal halide lights. If you can imagine your own house light, that's a high pressure sodium or even incandescent light, they don't last very long. Relative to an LED light, a high pressure sodium light lasts 10 times less in time frame. So as we're fixing a street light, we might find out that the one down the road burned out as well, and then the one after that burned out. And so lights do burn out, bulbs burn out. And so if we can evolve to using LED lights, they last, maybe last for 10 years where we won't have to actually replace that street light. And so it's very important. And so we're looking at, like I said, all those factors, not only improving our ability to report street lighting to PSE&G, not only online, but also phone calls, but also technology allowing us to improve through LEDs, the amount of street lighting that's out there. So it's on the horizon, I want to say, and we do take very seriously the public safety issue for street lighting. And so we are working aggressively to try to continue to maintain a very large fleet of streetlights.
Certainly LED is the way of the future. Actually, when new applications come to the city, they ask for LED because the sodium pressure lights, they're dated and it's cost effective.
I mean, in relative terms, you might say a high pressure sodium light could last 6 months to maybe a year at best. An LED light could last, 10 years, 15 years, depending upon how often it's turning on and off. And the other element in the lighting is there's a solar component on the light that turns the light on and off, a switch that turns it on and off at dark. And so those, we're looking at how that technology also can be improved. And we'll have an ability with smart metering or smart systems that those sensors on the light post itself will report to us that, hey, this light is out. So we won't have to rely on the folks calling it in anymore. But that, again, is something that we're working on very closely.
Okay, and obviously it'd be less expense to you, so you could, less expense for the customer.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well,
As
we're
always.
hoping down the road.
Sure.
There's so many topics here we could
Sure.
keep going on.
Name
You know, it's
anything
just,
you want.
I don't want to talk about the streets because I know they're going to get paved, but that's a big question from the
Sure.
from the people in the city. But I know that's going to get done. Obviously, you can't pave in the winter. I think, Suzanne, do you have a question? Because I don't want to. It's on.
Yes. I have a question. First
Sure.
of all, thank you for all that information. It was very interesting.
Okay.
But also, can you walk, customers through what they need to know when somebody rings their doorbell from PSEG?
That's a very good question. Yeah, we're concerned. We do have a number of vendors that are doing an incredible amount of work, both with comfort partners and being able to do energy efficiency work in households throughout our service territory and certainly within the city of Clifton. However, there's no question there's a large amount of folks trying to take advantage of the system, scammers that will come and knock on your door and pretend to be a representative from PSE&G or make a phone call and threaten you with turning your power off and try to, to steal your identity or to get your information. Those are things that we are continually working on, but it's incumbent upon residents to recognize that, and anybody who comes to their door saying that they represent PSE&G will have verifiable information on their person. They'll have identification. If there's any question, that individual should be told to come back or go away. Individuals can reach out to our customer service line and say, there was somebody knocked on my door and I'm not sure they're a PSE&G rep. Can you please verify? And there will be people that will know, okay, we do have vendors out in these couple of streets and they have knocked on a couple doors, but they have a badge with them, they have identification, they'll be wearing certain uniform. If they're vendors working for us, they won't be wearing PSE&G clothes, but they will have PSE&G identification and also have an identifiable truck. We do have folks out changing electric meters right now, and that's a very aggressive plan because that ability to change out electric meters is, we have 2.2 million customers. It's a very long process, but we're working on it, municipality by municipality. So somebody will knock on your door and say, we're changing out your electric meter. That homeowner that should verify that person is in fact legitimate. If they have any concerns, they can certainly call the 1-800 number, the 436 PSEG, or they can call 911 if they feel so concerned, and we'll verify that they in fact are a legitimate person knocking on your door. What we don't want is somebody representing PSE&G and not actually being one of our vendors. So that is a concern.
No, we appreciate it. And just really quickly, any quick tips for the homeowner to save energy?
Sure, that's a big one. We have right now a very extensive program. I mean, the simple things like changing out your light bulbs. We talked about LEDs before. I was in the Home Depot and I'm looking at the LED lights, and a woman asked me, she said, do you know about lights? I said, a little bit about lights. And I showed her the back of the box, and she was literally going to buy these incandescent bulbs. I said, ma'am, that bulb will last for 6 months. Look at this LED bulb. It will last for 34 years. I said, my kids will be arguing who gets the light bulbs long after I'm dead. Because those bulbs will last forever. So no question, changing out your bulbs in your household to LEDs is a major energy saver. It's much more efficient. They last a lot longer. The simple weather stripping, the working on things. We do have programs right now, and these are folks that may knock on your door, where we'll do a quick energy checkup on your house. You can go online to our website and you can request PSE&G come out to your house, make an appointment, and we'll do a walkthrough of your house, and we'll say, here's the things we recommend. What's also important is if you qualify under income guidelines, you could actually participate in the Comfort Partners program, which, they're for low and moderate income folks that will actually provide up to, I believe it's like $7,500 worth of energy improvements on your household. And that might include insulation, might include weather stripping, sealing, even as far as looking at your HVAC system and your heating system and seeing are there things that we can change out on the same Comfort Partners program. The only distinction is if you're a renter in that home, you would need to have approval from your landlord. But if you own the home, we can do these improvements with your, obviously with your permission. But it's a great program. It's funded from PSE&G, but really also through the Board of Public Utilities, and it's a program they granted to us, and we're very thankful for that, so that we can really provide this assistance to not only low and moderate income households, but also residents across our service territory.
Mr. Drake, that's a lot of good information.
Sure.
I appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
The LED is a good tip because you almost cannot buy the other lights anyhow,
No.
and you're going to save hundreds of dollars just on changing a light bulb. So that's good information, and we will list the numbers of everything
absolutely.
you've said that they can call. But
And we're excited, to work with you, right? And all the great city of Clifton. Like I said, I'm available to the city at any time. I know we didn't talk about the storm, but I want to be thankful for the city of Clifton during Ida. The city was hit really hard, but working closely with the municipality, we were able to get access to a parking lot on Main Street, Main Avenue, and that parking lot allowed us and our gas guys to set up a staging location that put us right in the center of town, and people saw that we were there responding to the storm, but at the same time put us close to where the impact was. And that's the kind of relationships we want to maintain with the city, and when we have those events, and certainly not that we're wishing that we have them, but we know they're on the, at some point inevitable, but we want to continue to have that strong relationship so that we can make the phone call and say, hey, do you have a spot we can set up and stage? And gratefully we were able to do that, and that was really helpful.
I appreciate it. Thanks
Rick.
again. We'll be right back.
Hello, Clifton and friends. Welcome to the updates. I'm Sharon Korbanix, and so happy to be here with you again. It's been a long time, but at least we're getting some good weather in the city, and we didn't have such a bad winter, so not too much to complain about, thank goodness. Well, as you know, the Clifton Rec Department and Debbie Oliver and her crew will be holding their Bunny Bash in Nash Park. That is Saturday, April 1st from 9:30 a.m. to about 11:30 a.m. And I believe you can also get your picture taken with the Easter Bunny. So please get there early and make sure you can get your picture taken. Then also, that same weekend, April 2nd, Sunday, there will be a flea market on Clifton Avenue near Oldwood Road at Jubilee Park. So many vendors will be out, so you never know what goodies might be there. Also, some other food vendors will be there as well. So please go to Jubilee Park on a Sunday, April 2nd. And also, the Senior Center always holds many different activities. They are now having yoga with James. It's every Friday at 2:30 p.m. And if you would like to have yoga with James, please call 973-470-2234. And also, the Boys and Girls Club has many different activities. They also have cooking classes for kids. So get your children involved in cooking. They can help themselves, and they can prepare wonderful meals for themselves or for you. Also, they can host pool parties, reservations ahead, so please talk with them about that, a nice activity. And there's also swim lessons for children, adults, so also call for that. And there's also some swim programs for mommies, children, daddies, their children, and so on. So do call the Clifton Boys and Girls Club, 973-773-0966. So with all those activities, I'm sure, hopefully you'll find something you would like to do, and if not, maybe even venture out to different neighborhoods and see what's happening around town. So as always, we hope you are safe and healthy. Keep doing what you're doing to be safe and healthy, and hope to see you around town as much as we can. We appreciate your support, and thank you so much for tuning in.
Oh,
Okay, welcome back. My next guest is Chris Fody. He's the inspector for the Clifton Fire Department, and today's subject will be fire safety. Chris, thank you for coming on. No, that's okay. So let's just talk about your duties and responsibilities, for the Clifton Fire Prevention Bureau.
Surely. So the Fire Prevention Bureau is made up of 6 full-time fire inspectors along with 2 part-time fire inspectors. Included in that number is the fire marshal and the supervising inspector. Just have a few numbers here for you guys. So
Sure.
Last year we conducted 634 state-mandated life hazard use inspections, 1,942 non-life hazard use inspections, 2,193 dwelling inspections, 177 permit inspections, and 48 complaint inspections, totaling 6 shy of 5,000 inspections at 4,994 inspections for 2022. So we were very busy last year.
Do we give any summonses?
We try not to. No, we want to make sure that everybody is in compliance. But if we have to, then we
Right.
absolutely have to. So
Most people do comply, right?
most people always do comply.
Okay,
They always
because
comply.
it's their safety. Okay.
Absolutely.
So let's go right into safety in the home. Smoke detectors, what do we need to know about that and, locations and things like that?
Right. So smoke detectors. The first question that every homeowner should ask themselves is, do I have hardwired smoke detectors or do I have battery-operated smoke detectors?
Okay.
If you have hardwired smoke detectors, then they must be replaced with hardwired smoke detectors with a battery backup.
Can you explain hardwired?
So hardwired smoke detectors are installed at the time of the building's construction. So if it's within the years of the code that require the building to have hardwired smoke detectors, then whenever you take them down from the ceiling, you'll see that they have wires coming
And they
out
go
of the
directly
ceiling.
to electric?
Correct. They go directly into the
Okay,
electrical panel.
okay.
They have their own dedicated electrical breaker. And that's important because if the smoke detector in the basement was to activate, it would alert the entire house.
Right.
Most of the time they are interconnected, which means if one goes off, they all go off. If the home was not required to have hardwired smoke detectors at the time, then you would need a 10-year sealed battery-operated smoke detector. Does the same job as a hardwired smoke detector, just every 10 years you have to replace the detector with another 10-year sealed battery-operated smoke detector.
Right. How often are homes inspected for smoke detectors?
So homes are inspected only when they go for sale. The fire code does not, unfortunately, require us to inspect 1 and 2 family owner-occupied dwellings. So at the resale of a home, we go in and we check to make sure that your smoke detectors are working, your carbon monoxide detectors are working, and your fire extinguishers are charged and where they need to be.
Okay, now, the smoke detectors sometimes come through with the carbon monoxide. Is that?
Correct, yeah. So they do sell a combination smoke and carbon monoxide detector that you could buy hardwired and the battery operated as well. The code requires 1 smoke detector on every level of the home
Okay.
and within 10 feet of the bedrooms.
10 feet.
Correct. Carbon monoxide detectors, pretty much the same deal, except for they're not required to be on every level of the home. They're just required to be within 10 feet of all bedrooms.
Okay, so while we're talking about the requirements for where they should be placed, fire extinguishers, they're mandatory.
Correct.
Okay, so how about the replacement, the placement in your home?
So the type of fire extinguisher that is required by the state fire code is a 2A10BC fire extinguisher. And that is to be mounted on the wall, in or near the kitchen, in the path of means of egress, no higher than 5 feet above the floor.
And that's needed when you sell a house or buy a house.
Correct.
To get the CO, you have
Correct.
to.
Correct.
Okay.
And we recommend you replacing your fire extinguisher about every 6 years.
Okay. Because I know it still might say charge, but maybe it's not.
Correct. So the biggest thing is to check and make sure that that needle is in the green. If it's not in the green, then we recommend you replace it immediately.
Okay, so on the unlikely event, hopefully you have a fire in your home, what should people do?
So in the
Or let's say the smoke alarm goes off.
Correct. So if the smoke alarm goes off or there is a fire, you always want to make sure that you have a plan, right? The family plan is the most important thing. We recommend having fire drills monthly with your family, always having a meeting place. So if your children have to run out of the home, whether it's through the back door or through the front door, they always know exactly where to meet you, or they have a place that they can go to that when everything is said and done, their parents can come over and check to make sure that they're okay. The biggest thing is to make sure that you stay calm. That's number one. Always make sure you stay calm. When you call 911, you want to make sure that you tell the 911 operator everything that's going on, if everybody's evacuated the home, where the fire is, how big the fire is. If, God forbid, there is still somebody left in the home, you want to make sure that the 911 operator knows everything that there is to know about that event, which then they can relay to the firefighters, which helps then fight the fire a little bit easier.
And pets,
Yes.
because that's an issue.
Pets are another big one too, right? So pets are like family, right? So
course.
we want to make sure that we're able to get in there and get them out as well. So again, the 911 operator, that's your lifeline. Tell them everything that you possibly can, from pets to family members to where the fire is, how even it started.
Okay, and we're hearing a lot about I guess it's called lithium-ion batteries.
Yes.
And people are bringing them in their houses.
Yes.
And, what's that all about? Because that's new.
So lithium-ion batteries, everybody's seen a rash of fires in the city, and New York more so than anywhere else. The biggest thing with lithium-ion batteries is making sure that they're charged properly,
Right.
and making sure that you're using the manufacturer's chargers and the manufacturer's batteries. So if you were to replace a battery that maybe was bad or wasn't charging, you always want to replace that battery with a battery that is recommended by the manufacturer,
Okay.
not one off Amazon, because those batteries have a tendency to catch fire more easily
Right.
than a battery that's recommended by the manufacturer.
And they say you shouldn't really put these things in the house. Is that true?
Correct. So if you cannot charge them in the house, that's obviously the best bet, just because if they were to do what we call thermal runaway, which is when they overheat and then they off-gas,
Right.
and that off-gas is very toxic and it's easy to catch fire. So if those batteries do off-gas, they catch fire. If they're outside of the home, that's fine, because,
Yeah.
then obviously you're not having a fire inside of your house. So.
Okay, that's big and that's new, and
Absolutely.
we should know that. And then lastly, we have a lot of severe weather, and people are putting these generators in.
Yes.
Some of them have the Generacs, and they're outside their house.
Correct.
But there's other people that use the plug-in kind,
Correct.
which work.
Yep.
But there's certain safety that goes with that. So just explain a little bit, because I don't want people have any problems with that.
Yeah, so generators, the biggest thing that we worry about is the carbon monoxide that it gives off.
Right.
Okay, so we always say to keep the generator 15 feet away from your house. If you do have it directly into your main electrical panel, make sure that it's done by a licensed electrician. Make sure that the appliances that you are running off of that generator, are sufficient to be run off of the generator, meaning don't run your whole house off of one generator.
Right.
You want to make sure that you're not overloading the generator. But our biggest thing is carbon monoxide, and making sure that it's not inside of the home or inside of a garage and it's running, and then you could possibly have the effects of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Okay, that's one question. A lot of people have the generators, and they run the extension cord,
Yes.
extension cord,
Yes,
extension
yes,
cord
yes.
off of one generator. That's the problem.
It is a problem, yes, absolutely. So extension cords are only rated for a certain amount. And the more extension cords that you add, and the more appliances that you plug into them, you have the opportunity to overload the circuit.
Right.
Overloading the circuit could cause a fire.
Right.
So
Because people, they have the heaters in their houses
Yes.
in the winter.
Yes.
And they run that little $9 extension
Yes.
cord under a rug. Those cords get hot.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that's the cause of a lot of fires this past
Absolutely.
winter and in the past. So,
Yep.
you might want to suggest that they don't use those.
Yeah, no. I mean, extension cords are always a danger and a hazard to us and to the homeowners as well. So make sure if you are using an extension cord, make sure that the extension cord is plugged into the appliance that it can handle. Make sure
Right.
that it's not a refrigerator or something big that an extension cord may not be able to handle or provide the proper voltage and electricity to. Also, make sure too that if you are using an extension cord, it's plugged directly into the power outlet itself,
Right.
and not a power strip or another extension cord.
Right,
You always
'cause-
want to plug it into the house
Okay.
outlet.
I appreciate that. A lot of good information. I hope people listen. Chris, I appreciate you coming
Great, thank
on.
you so much.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you very
No
much.
problem.
We'll be right back.
If you come down to the river, bet you're gonna find some people who live. You don't have to worry, cause you have no money. People on the river are happy again. They will keep on turning, while the time will keep on burning. And we're rolling, rolling on a river. Rolling on a river. Rolling on a river.
Okay, welcome back. My next guest is Ray Vega Cruz. He's part of the Dream Marketers Funding, LLC, but his job title is Mortgage Loan originator and real estate agent. And we asked him here today because real estate scams are big.
Yeah.
And it's happening in a lot of areas of life, but we're here to talk about mortgage scams. So just give me an overall view, the most common real estate mortgage scams that people should be aware of.
Yeah, so the biggest ones that we see right now, more than anything in this market, is the rental scams.
Okay.
So unfortunately, a lot of people fall victim to this due to them searching for the best rental unit they can get. They start looking at websites like Craigslist, and that's where they fall into those scams, looking at a gorgeous apartment for only $1,100. Safe to say, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know you see a lot about it. Sometimes you get suckered into these things, and that's sad. So what are the red flags, people should look out for dealing with, the real estate or the mortgage transaction?
Yeah, so when you're dealing with anything with real estate or mortgages, more than anything, you want to make sure that you're never being coerced into anything, or if someone's pretty much pressuring you to sign off right away saying, oh, I have like 3 other offers. If you want it now, you have to sign everything, and you may have some questions, and they may not even want to answer those. That is like the biggest red flag you can see, and as soon as you see that, you should probably just walk away from the deal.
So let me ask you, if they sign something, now they're bound to it, right? I would imagine,
Yes.
even if it's a scam?
Yeah, normally, yes. That's when you would want to go ahead and get assistance from a real estate attorney.
Right.
That is the biggest thing that we
And I
would
think you should
advise.
always have an attorney involved before you
Yes.
sign any paper.
Yes, 100%. You can do any transaction without an attorney, but we always advise you always get one. It goes towards your closing costs at the end of whatever you're doing, so you're pretty much set once you have one.
Right. So some examples of how people can protect themselves from falling victims.
More than anything, I think it's just to go ahead and ask questions. There's no dumb questions at any point. If you don't know something, make sure you ask, and if someone's not willing to give you an answer, get a second opinion, get a second agent on the transaction.
Right, because a lot of people do go into these things, blindly and without help. And you really should, if you don't know what you're doing, you should always help, and or you should trust the agent or the mortgage broker. But so if let's just say someone does fall prey to this, what are their recourses? Is there an agency or someone they can go to?
Yes. So first thing we always suggest is first you should file a police report, just so you always have that on hand. And the second thing you can do is you can report it to the Federal Trade Commission, which oversees real estate in itself and mortgages, and they would be able to follow the proper steps to assisting you with it. Normally, if the scam does continue and does go through and you lose money, sometimes they do have insurance on hand to make sure that the consumer itself is protected. So there's a lot of protections out there for consumers that we can take advantage of, but unfortunately not a lot of people know about that.
Right. Do you have any examples of people that have been scammed?
So when I first
Just
started,
so I get an understanding of
Yeah.
what the scam might look like.
Yeah, so when I first started, one of the first transactions that had came onto me, once it had fallen through and they were pretty much a victim of it, is that they started by putting their bid on a home, and they were told by an agent, oh, we're doing your mortgage, but it was a real estate agent. They didn't have a license to do it, and they were told and dragged on to saying, yes, you're on board to get the home, but they paid money, they paid inspection fees, but nothing was ever done, and they never got the home because they were being used as leverage to go ahead and get another offer accepted. And they were charged up front. That's the biggest thing. Being charged up front is also never a good sign. You will never be charged up front by a real estate agent.
Okay, that's important to know. So that's
Yeah.
that's what people want to know. Because, and are there fictitious like brokerages or agencies that would scam? I don't know. I don't want to give a name, but
Yeah, no, of course. I know what you mean. Unfortunately, a lot of people pass themselves as if they're actually licensed. When you do a simple Google search, you should be able to find the agent, because once we're licensed, the National Association of Realtors, NAR, goes ahead and puts our name and license out onto public domain like Google, and you'd be able to research any of us. So if we don't come up, most likely than not, you're not dealing with a licensed agent.
right. And I would think if you live in a town or a neighborhood, you would ask someone for advice on what realtor to use. Now,
Yeah.
you do real estate and you do brokerage,
Yes,
and you can do both.
correct.
So if you sell the house, you could also get the mortgage, which
Yes,
is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because you know what the people are qualified for.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you do qualifications for people, like money-wise?
Yes, so that is the essence of my job as a mortgage loan originator.
Okay.
I go ahead and walk people through the start of the home buying process, which is we see your personal finances, where they stand, we run your credit, and we tell you how much you can realistically afford to buy in terms of a mortgage.
And is that pretty reliable? Like
Yes.
when you run their, I don't know, whatever their credit scores are, because you hear a lot of, check this or get your credit score. Is that reliable? You have an app and it says, oh, is that reliable or is that real?
In terms of the apps, for example, any app that you have on your phone that may show you your current credit score,
Right.
one thing to note is that the mortgage industry uses a different formula for calculating your credit score. So if the app tells you have a 670, you might have a 700 with us, or it might be 620. So it's until you talk to a licensed mortgage loan officer that you will be able to get a good understanding once we run your credit to let you know where you stand financially and what you can also do to improve it if it needs improvement.
Because you get all these things say, get your score, credit score. I don't know how valid it is. I know a realtor will be able to get that through, I guess, whatever information you give, Social Security number stuff. But so technically, you want to go through a licensed real estate
100%, yes.
to get the facts. And I guess finally, just what is some advice so that people don't get scammed? What's the biggest thing that you could tell them?
Well, like you said before about, in the community, you always want to ask someone if they know anyone. Asking someone that has either references or if you're talking to someone new that you just happen to know, ask to see if they have any references of past clients. They may be able to connect to you so they can speak to their experience with that agent to you. You never really want to go in blind, and if you do go in blind to a new company, make sure you just do a quick Google search about them.
Right.
That's the easiest way to do it. Most companies, real estate groups or mortgage groups will have some sort of reviews online you can really use to make sure you're going with someone that's really going to go ahead and do the job that they need to do to help you get that home.
I mean, it's a lot of good information. We don't want people to be scammed. And like as Ray's saying, you should always check these things out because that's important. You don't go in with anything blindly. So hopefully we've learned a little bit here today. Ray, thank you for coming on. I appreciate
Thanks so
it.
much, Ray.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Just remember when a dreamer you belong to
Okay, well, that's our show for tonight. I hope everyone enjoyed it. We have a lot of good information, and we should listen to some of these tips that these people presented tonight because it could be very helpful if you have problems in your home. I'd like to thank my co-host, Suzanne, for being with us tonight. But in the meantime, be good to your friends and family, respect your neighbors, keep Clifton close to your heart. This is a great city. Good night, God bless, and see you again.